the home that I sit in right now. It just feels really warm and it really holds you. So we're excited about that we have a home that is just made for how we show up in the world. Like, come on in, come on in.
Everyone deserves a home that brings them joy. Maybe you're a host and a collector, or maybe you're an environmentalist and an athlete. Everyone's home should be a reflection of their personality. So we wanted to talk to some of the most interesting and inspiring people we could find about how their homes become a reflection of who they are today. Tina Roth Eisenberg is a designer, a founder, and a community builder. She's the founder of CreativeMornings, the free monthly lecture series that's grown into a global community in over 250 cities across 70 countries. And if that wasn't already enough, she also started an iconic design blog called SwissMiss. She created a task management app called TeuxDeux. She launched an art-focused temporary tattoo company called Tattly and founded a co-working space called Friends Work Here. But somehow, even more than all of that impressive list of projects and designs, Tina seems to be mostly known for her generosity, her optimism, and her ability to make people feel welcome. So it's my pleasure to flip the script for once, Tina, and welcome you.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. I'm so happy to be here.
Likewise. I feel like I have to start off firstly with just saying thank you. I think this month alone, I've attended a Creative Mornings lecture. I have collaborated with someone that I met through Creative Mornings. I've gone to a run club with people that I met from Creative Mornings.
Way.
And I've worked alongside a colleague that we hired through Creative Mornings. So
no way.
Yeah. Thank you so much for the community you've created.
Oh. This is my currency. This is my rocket fuel. All I care about is that I can make humans meet each other. Good-hearted humans. That's awesome. Oh, that makes me so happy.
So I want to get obviously into everything you are doing and that you've done. I always think it's fun to kind of jump back and ask what your first home looked like.
I grew up in the Swiss countryside in the mountains in a 2,000 people village. And I grew up in a 250-year-old wooden house. It was very cool. We had wooden paneling that apparently you couldn't even do anymore these days. And my mom was very high in fashion stores, so she had a really good eye, and she decorated it according to the era of the house. So we had a lot of antiques, which is not necessarily what I would do now, but you walked into the house and you could tell she had a plan for the whole house from outside and inside, and I do respect it a lot. I then went a very different path and once I had my own homes, and it was much more modern and minimalist and not ornate wooden golden frames for art, but I do so deeply respect how she was just very consistent with her designing of our house, and it was big and wooden and just felt very welcoming.
Do you remember anything that was kind of your first introduction to falling in love with that Swiss modern aesthetic?
Well, as I said, our house was the opposite of Swiss modern, but I do vividly remember that one of my best friends from high school, he invited me over to his house, and he lived in a house that his parents designed. It was brand new, was incredible, overlooking the Swiss Alps, and it was decorated completely modern. And I remember just walking through their house and being blown away. And we're talking every architect's, every designer's, all the pieces that we love, sort of the classics were there. And I remember coming home to my mom and I was like, I just knew that was it. I felt so lit up. I have teenage children. I have a 19 and a 15-year-old. And I remember renting a really cool, modern, very Scandinavian-looking designed Airbnb up here in the Hudson Valley a few years ago with them. And my daughter walked in and she said, this is exactly how I want to live one day. And I love when I see my children being lit up by an environment that speaks to their soul. So,
yeah, as do we. What was your decision to leave?
I've always been someone with a lot of ideas and a lot of energy. The Swiss tend to be a little slow and not as wildly ambitious as I am. So I often would hear that that's not going to work. What are people going to think? And I was often told I'm too much. And I just had to dream of being in New York for 3 months after I graduated. And I have to say, it was a moment when I arrived here. And I remember I got off on Wall Street and I had a job interview for an internship down on Broad Street in the southern tip of Manhattan. And I remember walking from the subway to that office, and everyone was walking as fast as me. And then a few days later, I was hanging out with people I just met, and I told them about my ideas. And they were all cheering me on and saying, I can help you with that. I can introduce you to someone. And I was like, I found my place.
Do you think that experience has defined your definition of home kind of going forward? Did that feel like a homecoming, I guess?
Yes, it did. It's definitely something that I'm really vocal about with my children. And also just I've always had a lot of really young people work with me just to instill that notion of really pay attention when you travel or when you visit places on how you're being received, who you are. Because I felt for the first time in my life, I could be myself. Because I always had to sort of put my foot on the brakes in Switzerland. The feeling of being too much is just not a good feeling. And for the first time ever, I felt I could totally be myself. And I say this to my children a lot. I could totally foresee my daughter wanting to be in a Swiss alpine town at some point because she just likes it slow and, and that's cool. You just need to know what works for you and then find your place where people receive you in that way accordingly and actually appreciate you for your qualities.
Was it just luck that New York was the magic sauce for you, or did you have an inkling coming here that it would be?
No, I really had no idea it would be, but I also do believe that we have sort of whispers. Our heart whispers things to us. And I think I was just hearing it because when I came at 25 after I graduated, that was like the second time I tried to come. I tried for college as well. That was swiftly shut down by my parents, which I totally get. Actually, I'm reading this super crazy out there book right now. I feel like every year I have a book that is the book of that year. And it's called The Parallel Universes of Self. The one notion in that book, it sort of goes with this, is I really speaks to my soul, is that when you have sort of a desire to learn something, do something, be somewhere, it's because that's a version of you that exists that's just calling you closer, and eventually you just merge with that version. And I knew that there was a New York Tina waiting to be just merged with, and to be honest, my life just really started blooming and blossoming the minute I moved here.
Are there any other meaningful homes between the one you grew up in and the one you're in today?
I could tell you the story of my first home that found me.
Sure, yeah, please.
After I separated from the father of my children, who's a wonderful human and the best dad ever, but just we weren't meant to be together. I remember thinking, oh my God, because we used to have a house in the country, and I was like, we got really used to having a place to go on the weekends. So I started searching on Airbnb for just houses that would get me excited on the week to go on the weekend. And I just seemed to have a knack to find really cool Airbnbs. And I remember coming across this incredibly cool, tiny, modern, teeny tiny home in the middle of the forest with a tiny pool. And I remember gasping when I saw it. And I had to book it out 8 months out for my kids and me because it was so booked. And then it was, I think in April 2016, we drive there, my kids and I, and we get out of the car and I'm standing in front of this tiny modern house. It's just so stunning. And I'm just like, I can barely breathe. You also need to know, I almost became an architect. So architecture is really,
okay.
It's just like, I love spaces. I love how my architecture makes you feel like it's just, so I'm just standing there and my daughter can see. I'm just like, oh my God, this is a dream. And there's a little shed next to it. And it had a Swiss flag on it. And my daughter, very matter of fact, just says, Mom, this house was waiting for you. And I didn't even really take it in. But we're in the house and I'm losing my mind because you're inside, but you feel like you're outside because it's all glass and it's really tall ceilings. And so I have the best time there. And I'm like bomb DMing the owner. So I was like, I can't get over how much I love this because that's also who I am. And then I kept renting it for 5 years in a row, like 3-4 times a year. And then in 2020, I was hosting Creative Mornings from their house because it was virtual at the time.
Oh, right. Okay.
And I knew that the woman from the couple, the owner, was on the call. I saw her. And then afterwards, she texts me and I'm sitting in the house, right? And she texts me and she goes, hey, this was so great, blah, blah, blah. By the way, we're thinking of selling the house. And I'm like in all caps, like, oh my God, I wish I could buy it. And she goes, great, because this is our plan. We can only sell it to someone who loves it as much as we do. and we believe that person is you. It was just such a clear sign from the universe that this house was meant to be with me. So I figured it out. And by the end of 2020, I purchased a home. It's just the most magical little house in the forest up in the Hudson Valley.
Amazing.
Right?
Wow. What a good story. So it doesn't seem like you're in the city right now. Can you tell us what your home is like today?
Oh, yeah. I'm very lucky in that I divide my time between the Hudson Valley and Brooklyn. My partner, Tim, lives up here, so I go back and forth. 2 years ago, I was so lucky, or he and I were so lucky to adopt this house that is pretty much the most magical house I've ever seen. It was the minute we decided we wanted to find sort of a home for our love. And it was very funny. We were sitting at a bar, and I see an alert on Zillow pop up, and I'm very visual, so I just looked at the photos and I gasped, and I pushed the phone over to my partner Tim, and he's the one who reads more. So he started reading the description, and then he gasped and pushed the phone back over to me. And that just tells you so much about how we operate. But the story of the house is that it used to be 3 hours north of where it is now. And a gentleman, in, as a labor of love, disassembled the house and labeled every beam and made Lego instructions, so to speak, and then put it on Craigslist and said, would somebody like to adopt this 1830s federal-style home? And my now neighbors and unbelievably dear friends now saw that, took their truck, drove up there, bought it, and then said, we have to rebuild her. They just believe in old homes. They restore old homes. And they have done this with so much love and care. I mean, so much love and care that the minute I walked in, you can just feel the love they poured into this house. And they also added onto it, and it's on a real foundation. And it's an old house with soul. Like, so the beams, I don't know, you can see a little bit. You know, you see the beams.
Yeah.
Everything's original. The fireplace, the staircase. But it's old but new, and it's just the most stunning home, and I feel so lucky to accept our offer. But the best part is that now it came with the best friends ever, because the people that built it, they live next to us, and they just surprised us yesterday. We have this little forest that we share between their house and our house that was completely overgrown, and yesterday they just texted us and said, hey, walk out the back of your garden. Just go to your gate. There was a gate that made no sense in the back that we had facing the forest. And they created a magical fairy path down to their pond and their creek for us. I mean, it's just so good.
Wow.
Yes.
Okay.
I know.
I have so many questions. First of all, I love this term, adopt. You keep saying adopt the home. Is this something from somewhere, or is it something that a term that you use just because it feels like? I
don't believe in land ownership. I feel like we're more stewards of things. So I don't like to say I own a house. I feel like I'm stewarding the house, the land. So that's why I use adopt.
I love it. I wanted to talk to you about the idea that you, as a community builder in general, I was guessing your neighborhood and your neighbors and the people around you have often become very much a part of what home has meant to you. Obviously, that seems like that is the case. Yes. Do you feel like you're attracting these people, or you're seeking them out, or is it really this alignment of just feeling like you're landing in the right place?
Well, I do believe like attracts like. I have weirdly, unbelievably good stories when it comes to finding dream apartments. Like my apartment in Brooklyn is a dream, and I landed with the nicest, kindest landlord and landlady you could ever imagine. And they happen to know about Creative Mornings, and it was just a love fest because we have the same values about, life and being kind and community-minded. And the same here with the people that built this house. I was the first offer, the first person to see it. Wow. And all my architecture friends said, this is a bidding war price. And I was like, oh, I can't do that. So I wrote a really heartfelt letter and just explained what I care about in life and how much I will honor this house. And they had like 6 showings lined up because I made the offer on a Friday. And I was like, well, there goes that. Because their real estate agent said the highest bidder will get the house. And I was like, well, there goes that. And then on Saturday, they called and said, actually, no, they read your letter and they canceled all the showings. They want you as a friend and neighbor. So again, I do believe in like showing up very authentically and sort of really being able to articulate who you are and what you stand for in life does open a lot of doors for beautiful friendships. I'm a big believer in that.
Our clients have written hit songs and launched iconic art galleries, designed timeless fashion and produced classic films, crafted stunning furnishings, developed addictive games, and founded innovative companies. They deserve a home where they can rest, play, and be inspired. We're the Up Studio, and we design creative places for creative people.
How are you balancing your time between Hudson Valley and city now?
I'm about 60% in the city and 40% upstate.
Are you separating your work and your leisure, or are you working from both homes?
No, I'm working from both. I mean, when I'm in the city, I work from my co-working space. I've started 17 years ago. So when I'm in the city, I work from there, and otherwise here I work from home. But I honestly don't love working from home. I'm one of those people that just really I still haven't figured it out.
Was that the catalyst for starting Friends Work Here?
Yes, because I started my own design studio, and I was like, I don't want to sit alone in an office. And first I started working from home, but then my daughter, she would send some around, and she was tiny, and so I started the first creative co-working space 17 years ago in Dumbo. And wow, talk about not realizing how you're just unlocking so much good in your life by doing something that you just have a hunch could be a good thing for people. And I mean, that's where Creative Mornings, my organization that I run, came out of. Creative Mornings is basically just a larger manifestation of what I believe in when you gather kind, creative people under one roof on a regular basis.
I mean, maybe that summarizes it, but to anyone who's maybe listening, can you kind of give us a little rundown on what Creative Mornings started as and what it's become?
Yeah, of course. So I'm originally a graphic designer, and so I ran my own design studio. I didn't want to be alone, so I started that co-working space, and I just created a space, rented out desks to other creative professionals, and realized the magic that happens when you have a writer and an illustrator and a photographer and a coder all in one room. And our space grew from 6 to 65 people. It was wild. And then I realized, man, there's so many more people in New York City, and I want to meet them. So I sort of very scrappily sort of put together a prototype. What if I invited them one Friday morning a month for breakfast and a talk, a 20-minute talk? And I ran that by myself here in New York City. Within a month or two, I was invited to agencies. They would invite us in. And of course, people loved it. I want to see into that agency. And so it was a very just scrappy, fun experiment, which then people started reaching out to me and say, hey, can I bring it to my city? And I was like, okay, I don't know. That I had to sort of create a package of what are the non-negotiables. And I figured it out all very lightweight and very trusting. And now 17 years later, we have 1,000 volunteers. About 25,000 people get together every month for free for a lecture and a talk. And then we also have clubs now that we're rolling out. So it's an engine of friendship. It's an engine of generosity, completely volunteer run, completely free. And a bit of a miracle that it grew to what it grew.
Yeah, it feels like a miracle every time I attend one. It's really incredible. It seems like the way you host is very intentional. You start the conversations with a manifesto of what Creative Mornings stands for and represents, and the people that you're inviting to speak. And I think all of that kind of trickles down to the people who are attending and their likelihood to bump into a stranger and share what they're working on and what they're excited about. Is that something that you had to study, or is that something that came natural, that idea of hosting?
No, I think that's just something that comes out of my nature. I feel like my upbringing lacked a little bit of emotional safety sometimes. So I've always been someone who really cares about creating warm, loving spaces where your nervous system can relax a little bit. So I think that is just inherently something I care about. And so that is kind of like my compass on how I create events. One of my friends once explained to me that when she comes to my events or to a dinner party, whatever, she always feels like she gets wrapped in a blanket of love and her nervous system can relax a little bit. and she can listen to the whispers of her heart. And to me, that was the ultimate compliment. That's what I want, because I firmly believe that we are all so riled up and scared and fear-driven and don't trust anyone and sarcastic and just like, and I just want to be the antidote to that with any space I create, be it my co-working space, be it a dinner party, be it Creative Mornings. And I do think now more than ever, coming out of the pandemic and with AI on the rise, it's just like these are the spaces that I feel in the end make a difference.
Are there ways that you are doing that with design or interiors or architecture in your own home or homes?
Well, I'm actually, the home that I sit in right now is an incredible party house. Like the flow of the layout is just so ideal. So my partner and I, when we moved here, I wanted to be very intentional about meeting my neighbors. And I was like, how are we going to do this? And so we had the idea of opening our kitchen on a Saturday morning between 10 and 1 o'clock. And we invited all our neighbors and said, like, hey, we just moved here. Do you want to meet us? Do you want to see our house? I'm sure you've seen it go up. And just super lightweight. There's going to be coffee and tea and baked goods. Just pop in. And that has now become a staple here. Like, we do it. We try to do it monthly. Sometimes it's every other month. And then we started, of course, we're prototyping, and my partner is a musician. So we started putting an element of music. The living room is incredible because it's all wood. It has an incredible acoustic. So there's breakfast, and you can sort of go in a circle between the kitchen and the living room. And it's just, the house is just made for entertaining, and it just feels really warm and it really holds you. So we're excited about that we have a home that is just made for how we show up in the world. Like, come on in, come on in.
Are there ways you've been able to translate that same idea into what I'm assuming is a smaller space in the city?
I used to have a monthly dinner party before the pandemic. That was like sort of a ritual I had. But I feel like I get my hosting fix at my co-working space. It's very similar to this. It's sort of like an airy 3,000 square foot loft in an old 1860s factory building with old wooden floors. And it's very easy to entertain. So I feel like I'm good. In the city, I got that space to invite people to.
In both your dinner parties in the city and your breakfast club upstate, I heard you mention that you're doing the monthly, which reminded me about Creative Morning clubs. So I was lucky enough to be at the lecture where you guys launched clubs for the first time, and it was such a fitting lecture to match up with clubs. But can you maybe just talk a little bit more about that and how that relates to what you believe in and what you're doing with Creative Mornings in general?
Yeah, of course. So Creative Mornings is, up until a year and a half ago, was a monthly Friday morning event run by a chapter team. And for years, we've always heard once a month on a Friday morning is just not enough. I was always thinking, how can we have more events happen? And in January of 2024, I was literally jumping out of bed at like 3:30 in the morning, and that's something that has never happened to me. It came to me as like, we have always grown at the speed of trust. Like, we trust this host in Isfahan to take it on. We trust this host in Paris to take it on. We coach them to run it and whatever. So it's been fairly slow, but it was always based on a deep level of trust. And then, we give you everything you need and you run. And all of a sudden, it dawned on me that I think Creative Mornings is ready, that we literally let the community hold space for each other. Because we had such a solid foundation of 15 years, almost 16 years of modeling how we show up in this space. And I know this all sounds very cultish, but you've been to a Creative Mornings. There is really a level of kindness and generosity in the air with our attendees that is really unmatched. And we were just like, let's just try. What if we let them be a mini local community builder and bring Creative Mornings to ethos to their local neighborhoods? Because I'm a deep believer that the future is not lonely, it's actually hyper-local. And so within a year of us scrappily trying to see if people would want to run a club, we have 40 clubs up and running. Over 6,000 people got together. And the feedback we're getting is unbelievable. We have multiple hosts who have been running this now for a year and said it's the best thing they've ever done. Just imagine, if there's something you love doing and you want to make friends doing it, we will fill the room with incredible humans. So from photography to drawing to walking, to silent reading, to writing together for an hour. I mean, literally whatever it is you love doing, you can simply apply and we will fill the room for you. And all you have to commit to is host 4 events. That's it. And after that, you can stop if it's not your jam. But most of the time, it's like you have to get over the hump of being a little nervous about it. And then the feedback you get from the people that show up is just so rewarding. And I do think in the end of the day, what we're actually teaching people is how to give back, how to be a leader, how to actually civic engagement. How can you be part of your local community? And we're just gently pushing people to be brave and just raise their hand.
Yeah, I love that aspect to it of kind of mandating the recurring commitment. That idea of like climbing that cringe mountain for a little bit and kind of seeing what might be at the top kind of only comes with the repetition. Is that something that you've seen in the clubs?
Yeah, totally. And it's something, it's actually funny. In 2019, I accidentally prototyped the club, not realizing I was doing it. Actually, we started accidentally a choir. And I remember writing that post. I was like, every other Wednesday now, we're going to be rehearsing in our space. And I was sitting there going, do I want to give up every other Wednesday night? And it's, at the lecture you were at where we launched clubs, where Pete Davis talked about this lack of commitment, that nobody's committing to anything anymore. But actually the people that are the most fulfilled is what he calls the long haulers, the people that commit to a place, a cause, an organization. I ended up running that choir until the COVID shut it down for a year. And I have to tell you, sometimes on a Wednesday, I was like, oh my God, I would love to go home. But the minute we were singing and everyone was in the room, it was like, this is so beautiful. And I think this is something that I just want to appeal to people in our community. Just push through a little bit. Just push and see what happens when you start giving back to your local community and make friends around something that you enjoy doing anyway.
I know friends work here. Was it the first creative co-working space in New York?
From what I know, yes.
What things did you do intentionally or design into that space to kind of encourage and support the creative process?
First of all, it was super minimal. It was a white box. It was like my dream. It was just a white box overlooking the East River. And then I very minimally built these big floating desks. And I had got these vintage red Eames chairs. So it was just aesthetically, it was just like, oh, I was so happy. And I was just hoping I would attract people that also sort of love the aesthetic. And these big floating desks sort of, to me, indicated we're sort of in this together. Like we were all connected, which I really loved, metaphorically. I was really ruthless. Like I interview people. I sort of saw myself as the host of the space and who curates the people. And if you were a douchebag, we kicked you out. Like if you weren't kind, if you weren't a helpful person, if you weren't interested in maybe having a lunch conversation, I was like, go, find a single room, go, if you haven't read The Art of Gathering by Priya Parker, which at the time wasn't out yet. But in that book, she talks about this, like how when you hold space, you have to be intentional about who you exclude, who you include. And I think I just naturally have this in me. I'm just a host at heart. I'm a human gatherer at heart. And I sort of very intuitively know how to create spaces where the right people will find their place.
And did having that space help lead to some of these other projects, to Tattly and TeuxDeux? And, well, SwissMiss was probably running before this, right?
Yeah, no, I mean, it was ridiculous. I had no idea. It was the best thing I've ever done. Also, I had small children at the time. Like, when you have tiny ones, you don't go out at night. So for me, this was my place of socializing, like having intellectual conversations over lunch. And I had a desk neighbor. He was one of the first ones to join Cameron Kozan, who runs Fictive Kin, which is incredible. He's one of the smartest people I know. And he really pushed me into stop having clients. And I was really not made for the service industry. But he kind of pushed me, and I felt so supported by the people around me. Like, it was the same as Creative Mornings. I felt like they made me brave. Like, I was pushing myself. I started Tattly as a joke within that, we would talk about, how would you price this? I don't know. There were so many entrepreneurial creative people, voices around me, that I felt emboldened to just start things. And then, people started collaborating on conferences. Brooklyn Beta came out of it, and magazines, and it's just beautiful. I just feel like when you put people in a room with complementing, skills, and you just curate them, like sort of have the same value system and show up generously, you don't have to do anything else. Just like go.
If you build it, they will come.
Yeah.
Amazing. Well, number one, I'm very glad we spoke because I assumed there were people and experiences and places in your life that came to you because of your openness and joy and willingness to share that. Even not gatekeeping that Airbnb listing is very kind.
Of course. You gotta share it, man. It all comes back.
All right, I want to respect your time, but I do like to just end these conversations with just asking if there's an object or a space in your home that really brings you joy today.
You know, I have these little train model tiny people all over my house, and I just love them so much. And sometimes when I have friends over, they go like, "What's that little person doing on your TV?" I live for those moments when my friends find them. That little tiny house I told you about, I still run it as an Airbnb, and they're all over the house. And I love when the guests DM me. It was like, "Hey, where can I get those little tiny people? I want them too." So that is something that is so playful and whimsical. And I feel like the people that get that, they're my people.
Yeah. Well, I love that. I feel like it's very fitting. You can bring joy to every space that you're in, even when you're not in it.
Oh,
so
thank you.
Thank you so
much for having me.
Yeah, this was awesome. And thank you so much for the community that you've built. It really, I know it means so much to the people that are attending on a regular basis, myself included.
No, that makes me so happy. Thank you so much.
As we discuss in these conversations, we really believe that the best home designs are the ones that are the most personal. So if you're looking to pair your personality, your passions, and your lifestyle with home design amenities for a future project, jump over to our website or check out our card game, Personal Space.